Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Black Real Estate Dialogue Podcast. I'm very excited about this episode. Here with me today, I have Anthony and Anton Downing out of Chicago. Thank you, fellas, for coming on the show.
Oh, man.
Happy to be here for sure.
Definitely. So first, we'd just love to hear from you two. What was your childhood like, and what did you see, or maybe what didn't you see that shaped your view of building wealth as you grew up?
That's a good question, because sometimes I feel like, our background is somehow, different or more, I don't know, like more blessed, if you will, because both of our parents, grandparents, or both of our grandparents on both sides, I should say, were property owners.
Mm-hmm. And our parents. I mean, we've always lived in homes that our parents owned. Like, we never rented, like, growing up. So we didn't even know what it was like to live in an apartment building.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of set a standard for us,
to
move it. But the thing is us changing or leveling up from single family homes into buying, 3-unit and 4-unit buildings.
Yeah. I mean, I think legacy is something that was instilled in us. And we stand on the shoulders of our parents, and our parents stand on our grandparents' shoulders, and our great-grandparents. We every generation doing just a little bit better than the last generation. And, but you got to have the tools, and you have to have investment, and you have to have ownership. And ownership shouldn't be something that is special just for that one family member at the family reunion. It should be like the entire family reunion is full of people who own something. And so we really, if there's anything that we really want to talk about in 2021, is doing it for your last name. Doing it for your last name and building a legacy. And it has to start with somebody, because we've had so many people that we've talked to, so many interviews we've been involved in, and some people come from the gutter. They come from the mud. No one in their family owns anything. No, there was no one that they could look to for leadership or for mentorship, and they had to find it outside of themselves. They had to get educated. And the thing is, it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. And that's why we love to see podcasts like this one. So we're really happy to be on this podcast, because you are a part of the solution for our community, where we educate people about how to buy property, or why they, with their why. Well, number one, identifying their why, and then figuring out how to buy their first property, and then different strategies, because there's so many different ways to do it.
We figured out early on that we were going to be a vessel for other people, just from the interviews and just from some of the people who have interviewed us, whether it was ABC 7 or Fox 32 or I'm saying Chicago channels and whatnot. But when they were surprised, I was like, oh, we need to make sure that they know that this is normal for Black people, that this is stratified. There's a whole lot of ways to be Black.
Right. So, it being completely possible. And we talk about our first deals on anybody interviews us. We talk about those first deals where we finally had some success. And the stuff we're doing now is a little bit more complex, and it's a little bit more high level. But I think the simple deals in the beginning, they gave us the foundation and eventually gave us the capital and the cash flow and the equity. That's what we want to talk about. So we always love to give examples. So we will, on this episode, give specific examples of deals that we did.
Perfect. That leads to the question. So I appreciate y'all breaking down for me and giving us some more information on the background. So walk us through those beginning days, the beginning in real estate. Now we know the why. You had the example, and it was important in your family, and you wanted to kind of carry on and level up. So tell us about that first couple deals and how those went.
This all started when Anthony graduated from U of I before me. I stayed. I was one of those, a fifth year type of guys, and he goes and gets his first real job before me.
Look, I don't know why we get on these interviews and he always wants to start off by talking about my life or whatever. What was your first deal? Why don't you tell people about your first deal, how you negotiated it, how much money you spent? How about you do that?
We're going to skip it. This is the thing. he had a couple of a condo, single family home, and it only makes sense to talk about those deals first because those deals came in 2008. Those deals came in 2009, 2010. I didn't start buying multi-unit buildings until 2013. So I just kind of feel like it's out of order, you know, chronologically to even talk about our apartment buildings.
Fine, I'll start. All right. First deal that he's bringing up that he really wants you guys to know about is I bought a condo, which I advise against. I bought a condo in 2007, first property, used the FHA loan, 3.5% down, and I had a 4.5 interest rate, which back then, that was a great interest rate. So get this property, but then 1 year later, 2008 comes, we have a presidential election, we have a recession, complete meltdown, and the property was worthless. Everyone in that building started selling the properties for less than half of what they bought it for.
Or walking away from them.
Or just completely walking away from it. I bought a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,200 square foot condo for $150,000. That 1 year later, people were selling for $60,000, $70,000. So, but what I did is I continued to pay my mortgage so that my credit would stay above 700. And I saved up my money, got 2 jobs, was working 2 jobs for about a year and a half because I was determined not to have a foreclosure and bring my credit score down while I find an escape plan. What I found as far as an escape plan was that I could do a 203K, an FHA 203K renovation loan. And that if by simply writing a letter and following the rules, that I could justify getting a second FHA loan because I was going from a condo to a single family home in another zip code. Still in the city of Chicago, but just a couple neighborhoods over. And I was authorized to do that 203K, bought a 3-bedroom, 4-bath, 3,000 square foot gray stone in a historic Bronzeville neighborhood for $200,000. And then was able to get an extra $30,000 to do renovation and got a whole lot done because I had this excellent crew that I was able to locate. And, renovated a bunch of different things in the property, gutted the kitchen, a couple of the bathrooms, put a whole new back porch deck, so on and so forth. And came out a winner. Stayed there for, a couple of years. And what I did not know, which I did not know as far as my plan, but what I want listeners to know, after 24 months of living in your primary residence, when you sell that property, your profit is tax-free. There's no capital gains tax when you sell your primary residence. So what I did was a slow motion flip. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just learning about what I could do to not ruin my credit score and then still be able to attain some more property. Now, eventually I did short sell the condo, which hit my credit for 24 months. Yeah. So when I realized these numbers were coming up real consistently, 24 months of losing credit on a short sale, but 24 months after you have lived in your primary residence, you have a tax-free profit margin. I was like 2 and 2. That's a plan. Bought my car, bought the house, stayed there, enjoyed it, did the renovation, and then now I had all this equity once the recession was over and the country started to rebound. So fast forward, end up selling that and got a profit, which I still have the actual photo. I did an actual photo of the deposit into my account. 77,000 plus, tax free, right? Took that money, bought another building that I still have to this day cash flowing.
That was a 4-unit.
Which is a 4-unit, and then started flipping. Wow. So you see, there's power in planning, there's power in research. And the thing is, I didn't have a mentor. There was no one educating me, though I advise people to find a mentor. But what I did is I listened to podcasts like this one relentlessly. I mean, every single day I listened to at least an hour of a podcast, sometimes 2 or 3 hours, because I was soaking up all of the knowledge, listening to all of these stories on these real estate podcasts.
And I'm up here watching from the corner like, oh, that didn't go well. He had to come up with a plan to get out of this condo. Yeah. But this went well. But I was like, I still don't want a single family home, man. I'm going to go the multi-unit building route. That was it from the get-go.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh, I didn't give numbers. And I want to be as transparent because I want to remove fear from people who are listening to this podcast.
Definitely.
That was a $200,000 short sale that I bought in Bronzeville, that 3-bedroom, 4-bath house. 200,000 plus 30,000 for the renovation. So a mortgage total of 230. I had to come to closing with $7,700. Okay. So I at that point, I had probably saved maybe $12,000, $13,000, 14, somewhere along that. So basically I broke half of my bread to come to closing with. But if you can work, and I worked 2 jobs because I was relentless with saving money up because I knew what my goal was. Right. So $7,700 to a closing for a total of $230,000 mortgage. All right. So I'm hoping somebody out there is listening like, man, that's all I need is $7,700. Well, you need $7,700 for the closing. And then you basically times that times 2 for the money that they want to see in reserves. And the money in reserves can be money that's sitting in a 401k, or I had
deferred comp.
I had I had a 403b back then. So I had money sitting in these different retirement accounts, and that can be used as your quote unquote reserve money.
Or you can get a letter from one of your relatives or your friends for them to give you the down payment.
Right.
But the letter just has to state that, this is a gift.
That is a gift. So there's these ways that you can make it to satisfy these requirements. You don't have to feel like I don't have enough or I'm helpless. You just got to know the rules.
Definitely. Appreciate you sharing. A couple questions.
Okay.
Something you mentioned was you don't advise condos, and it's kind of like back and forth on that, but I would love to hear your perspective because people, as you know, people have a whole bunch of opinions on that. So can you tell us more about that?
Okay.
Why people?
We're talking Chicago market, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm talking about Chicago market, though I think it could apply to urban areas. I think condos can be good depending on what your strategy is. If you're simply getting a condo for equity, thinking I'll buy this now and in 5 or 10 years from now I'll have money built up in this condo, I wouldn't advise buying a condo for that purpose, just to sit on it for equity. I think condos are great for living purposes, Airbnb and short-term rentals. That's where and that's pretty much as far as I'm going to go as far as the benefit of a condo. But if you're talking about equity or cash flow, I would not go with a condo because one, there's so many homeowners association rules. They can at any point the building can vote against you as far as allowing you to rent it out for long term or rent it out for short term. There's so many things you don't have control over versus if you had a single family home or a multi-unit property that doesn't have a homeowners association that is completely yours to control. And so that's my knock on condos, unless you have the ability to do short-term or long-term rentals and the cash flow is good.
Got it. And you mentioned that you had a pretty big rehab on the property where you got the FHA 203K loan. So 2 things. Can you talk about what that particular loan is? And 2, like, what was it like just managing a rehab? It seemed like it was your first one. So can you talk to us about what that was like?
Totally.
Great experience too.
Great experience. And that's actually where we learned that we were going to work together. Again, we kind of fell backwards into this whole working together in real estate, and then all of a sudden people watching us on TV do it. So when we did this project, what was very appealing to me when I found out what a 203K was, is that there's a 203K consultant, right, who is basically holding your hand because they're protecting the bank's interest, which happens to also protect your interest because they want to make sure that the general contractor is doing everything to code, completing everything that's on the scope of work and staying within the budget, right? As they release those draws from the bank to you as the buyer to then give to the contractors. And so the fact that I had that almost big brother sitting there guiding me through this process, I appreciated that. So then also the type of contractors that you deal with on a 203K are the ones that have money, because on that first draw, they have to come out of their own pocket. They may, on a $30,000 renovation, which is really a light renovation. I didn't realize back then that it was a light renovation compared to the stuff we did, later. But on a $30,000 renovation, they got to come out of pocket like 10 grand on the first draw out of their own pocket. So if they're invested with their own money, they have more investment to actually get your project done right and not run away or walk away from your project because they're using their own money, and they don't make any profit until the last draw. And so for those who are like, I'm not sure if I'm capable, or I'm not sure if this is a safe bet, start with a 203K. You then learn how to work and manage and communicate with the general contractor, plus the added benefit of the 203K consultant that you can also talk to. And then you get through that project and then be hands-on. So when I mean hands-on, when you're not at work, every day that's available to you, go to that project,
right,
and ask the contractor, what are you guys doing today? Oh, what are they doing over there? Oh, show me. What's that mean? What kind of pipe is that?
And we're on different shifts at the fire department. So I started going when he's at the firehouse. Right. I'm not telling them that I'm not him. I'm just in there and making them feel like there's an ever-present, one of us is always a person, just bam, what are we doing today? Yeah. And so, but when I say hands-on, this is where I'm like, when they're doing some work, ask them what those materials are. How much does that material cost? What tools are you using in order to drill or to nail or to staple whatever it is that they're working on? And you by asking questions, you then on following projects, the following year, the next project, you're all that information of knowing how something's done right. Then you also now can recognize when something's being done wrong. And that's how you then become able to manage and hold your contractors accountable, because now you know how something is properly painted or how the drywall is cut and the way it's supposed to be taped and mudded. Like, you know these things when you see it. And let's be real. Everything is on Google. When you're getting an estimate for the bathroom, you know the bathroom is supposed to be somewhere between $4 and $6 per square foot. That's the estimate for the bathroom. And there's estimates like that for the living room, for the bedrooms. There's estimates like that for the electrical before you close up the wall. And once you start to get in tune with what those dollar amounts are per square foot and whatnot, people can't get over on you.
Yeah. And you know what? Going to Home Depot or Lowe's is free. So knowing the difference in price between this kind of tile and this kind of tile, the difference between using this brand of paint and this brand of paint, or how much does the drywall cost and how many sheets of drywall do I need? The crazy thing is, if you know the square footage for a room, you can actually go up to Home Depot, and the people at Home Depot, even if you're not really good at math or whatever, if you give them the square footage, they can tell you how many sheets of drywall that you should have, and you can do all this in advance. Then when the contractor goes, you can actually hold them accountable and just let them tell you what the costs are.
Just let them talk.
And then you say, well, I thought it was supposed to be this, because you already know the answer in advance.
Right.
So
right.
And that's in the beginning, because eventually you'll get to the point, and we're at the point where we have the type of relationships with our contractors where I don't have to monitor and so on and so forth, because they want to do it right because they want to keep on working with us. But you have to kind of know in the beginning what's going on.
Definitely. So where did things go from there? I know you came a little bit later on. I think you said 2013.
Yeah, tell me right.
So now I was like, it got to be a 3-unit for me, right? Yeah. And I went FHA, and for FHA, a lot of times they call that a first-time home buyer loan, but it's just a product. You can do it over and over again. Okay, so long as you only you refinance the property into a conventional, and then you can go FHA again, which is what I did for my second 3-unit building. But on the first one, I found one for 100, and I think it was on there for 169. Of course, we went back. My realtor went back and forth and got it down to 153. Okay.
Wow.
And that's the 3.5% down. And 1% of that 3.5% was my earnest money when I first put in a contract for it. And when I was accepted, we'll put in a bid for it. And when I was accepted, now I had to come up with the other 2.5% down payment. So then my realtor negotiated for 6% seller contribution from to closing costs and down payment. Well, he came back like, I'm not gonna give you 6%, but I'll give you $5,000. And I was like, all right, well, that's actually pretty close to what I want anyway. So at closing, I only had to come with $1,250. Woo!
Wow.
In the building. Okay.
Wow.
Now it was basically, turnkey. I had a tenant in the building who wasn't paying rent, and thank God I caught that early, because in Illinois, if you can't get them kicked out before December 1st, they have the right to stay until March 1st. So they get three months where you cannot kick them out during the wintertime. So, but wow. I took her to court in October, and then the judge was like, okay, you've already admitted that you owe him 2 months rent. The next court date is going to be November 20 something, right? And if you don't pay his back, back paid by the next court date of November 20th, then you're going to get evicted. And the eviction already did the math. The eviction was going to be before December 1st. And when she realized that with her free attorney, that was the case, she just put the key on the counter, sent me a text message saying, I moved out. It was like a week later. She just moved out because she knew she wasn't going to win this. So right. That's what happened with that. Now, when I say they were turnkey enough to put people in there, I was like, I wanted it to be really desirable. So wood floors throughout. So I had the wood floors sanded for like $1,200 per floor. I redid the bathrooms. Each of the bathrooms was like $1,500. To be honest with you, I had like, a Mexican guy come up there doing the work, basically for, cash under the table type of stuff, but it was a good work, and he did not play around. He got the stuff done. And like I said, it was basically turnkey already. So once I got those couple of things done, I just moved tenants in. Section 8 on the middle unit on the top floor, which was $1,100 per unit up there. And then the garden unit I did for $950. The mortgage was only $1,200. So one of my units was paying the mortgage. The half of the next unit was like paying like the maintenance, shoveling the snow, stuff like that. And then the third unit was straight, cash in my pocket, about $1,000 a month.
Right. So wow. Now, for those listening, that sounded like a whole lot of work, which it is, which is why we have property management. Mm-hmm. After that first year, there was no more of the Downing brothers doing all of that, running around, going to court, doing all this, that, and the other. We got property management, and actually good property management will actually prevent
people from even trying
from people from trying you or taking you to court, because they know what to do and what to say and how to negotiate and get people to either pay the rent or leave, so that you don't have to go to court.
It only took one time for me getting called 3:00 in the morning for a toilet for me to say I need property management.
Right. So now we have property management on all of our buildings, mm-hmm. and we just collect checks. Like we get text messages and emails from our property management, and that's it.
Every month she sends, like a spreadsheet saying, what job orders she fulfilled, 4 toilets or broken banister or, whatever. And that's it.
Now, it's important of why we bring this up. I remember early on in the game when we started telling people, oh yeah, we're buying property and we're buying apartment buildings and things of that nature.
Oh, that's too much work, man. I ain't doing none of that.
Exactly. And the thing is, a lot of people are going to get discouraged, especially when their family and friends don't have experience or they've had bad experiences with being a landlord. They don't even tell them that property management is an option, mainly because they didn't get property management themselves. If you may hear these words thrown around if you listen to enough of these podcasts, things like systems. Oh, I have a system in place.
Right.
Well, a system in this case is property management, because your property management is now doing everything for you. It's all automated. And now you get on a, maybe not the first of the month, but by the fifth, sixth, seventh, you got a direct deposit coming, and you're not dealing with all of these issues. You just simply, it's automatic. You get something until it's time to replace the tenant who moves out, but it's automatic. So you have this automation going on.
Definitely. And I'm glad you talked about the property management. Some people are for it, some people are not, right? But I think I like that you kind of laid out some of the benefits of it, why it can be a good idea. And I'm sure it saves you both a ton of time and that you can use towards other things you're doing, towards work or towards, other things you have going on. So I'm sure it's been a great help, as you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Some people have profit margins that are only, a few $100s, where it doesn't make sense to, because property management is generally somewhere between 7% and 10% of the rent per unit. So if that starts to add up, and people are like, well, I guess I'll do it myself to save myself a few $100s. And I'm like, to save myself $600? No, man, you handle all that stuff, send me a check.
Right.
I
mean, for us, it was inevitable because we're firefighters. And then when we're not firefighting, we're doing programs like this. We're doing interviews. Before COVID, we were doing our live events. We're in person, doing our lectures, going to college tours, traveling,
different cities,
filming for our show, doing our podcast. So we have all of these things that take time. And for us to spend time on property when we have, and then we have a great property manager, because, we say one of the things that we say all the time is you build relationships before you build houses. So we have relationships with our property manager, with our realtor, with our attorneys, plural, because now we have attorneys for different things that we do.
Yeah.
And home inspectors, so on and so forth, and they all know what what we expect from them and what they expect from us. And so once you have these relationships in place, then things begin to become easier for you.
Definitely. And then can you talk more about Section 8? You mentioned that one of the units was Section 8, and I'm sure y'all hear this all the time. Some people are like, oh, Section 8 tenants, they're going to burn my house down. There's just a misconception, right? As if they're not regular people. Tell us about it.
This month will be 7 years I've had that building. I had Section 8 on the middle unit and on the top floor unit, right? For both of them, right? For almost 7 years now. They ain't never tore nothing up. That money comes on the first of the month, every month. It is about interviewing the people, and it's about understanding, man. Like, just because you hear about a couple of horror stories doesn't mean that's what it is for the majority of Section 8.
Yeah. This is the thing too. There are people in this country that are millionaires because they have a portfolio full of Section 8 tenants, people who have subsidized rent, whether it's Section 8, whether it's a HUD VASH, which is the VA subsidized rent, and of various programs across the country, because there's state programs, local, county programs where people get subsidized rent. Subsidized money is how wealthy people became wealthy. And once you have once you have property management along with subsidized rent, you are now on your way to building an empire.
Because I'm telling you, the garden unit, 950, garden unit was always late with the rent. The garden unit, look, I'm gonna say this, man. All these stereotypes, I'll start a stereotype. I'm getting money with the government subsidized checks, okay? For real. And I even take it a step further. And as we get more properties, there's going to be more Section 8 in our portfolio.
Right. Because, this is the other advantage. We're in this COVID era right now. This is the COVID era. If there's anything that landlords have learned during the COVID era is that you want a balanced portfolio of Section 8, because that money's guaranteed as your market rate tenants end up losing their jobs or
coming up with excuses,
so on and so forth. If half of your portfolio is automatically coming on the first of the month from Section 8, you're not worried about paying your mortgages. You're not worried about your cash flow the same way you are if 100% of your tenants are market rate. And those good tenants with good jobs lose their jobs the same way it happened in the recession back in 08. Same thing that people are going through right now. And basically, you look at it, every decade, if you're in real estate, there's some new chaos that comes. We don't know what it's going to be next time, 10 years from now. But every decade, chaos comes, and Section 8 will be there for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And how many units do you own between the two of you?
What, 10?
Nice.
As far as the rental stuff, because we really don't count the renovations, the flips, because those are in and out.
Yeah, so. in and out.
Definitely. So you mentioned sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying we're gonna be buying some more property. We're gonna be buying some more property. This is the time to buy. This is the time to buy when everybody else is scared. Because the thing, this is what our outlook right now. Eventually, the moratorium on foreclosures and on evictions will be over. There's going to be a flood of property, of inventory. That's going to come online. So watch the news. If you're watching the news and you start hearing about people saying, "Oh, now they're evicting people, it's so crazy," or that foreclosures are starting to go up, that is the time to buy, because now when there's more inventory, it becomes a buyer's market. So then there's some bargains, something that you can get below market value. So be prepared. What you should be doing right now is getting your capital and your credit in place so that you can go after these foreclosures.
And I'm saying, if you all are looking at real estate as a business and you have your LLC, it is time to move whatever property that's under your personal name, refinance it into your LLC.
As you can do a cash out refinance.
And that's what I'm doing right now with two of our buildings.
Right.
Is putting it into our LLC, Elijah Properties Group. So now I'm free to go back and do the same thing I did all those years back.
Can do it again, and with that cash out, now you have the money for the down payment for the next property. I mean, definitely. You're leveraging your investment.
I love it. So you mentioned that eventually you two got into flipping. So how did that happen?
Well, once I got that bulk check and I discovered hard money lenders, I was like, okay, how much money do I need, and what type of property do I need to go after? I should say we, because then we made a decision, we're going to do this together. Yeah. So found a foreclosure, got a hard money lender. They were like, oh, well, you need to have 25% down, and they'll cover the rest for the purchase and renovation. And then we went to work, and it took us 6-7 months to do it. Yeah, about 7. It took us 7 months, and really because we messed up. We had a bunch of errors.
We tried. Oh yeah, we'll do the back porch to this 3-unit building for half the price. We'll do it for $7,000. We're like, man, I could have sworn that was supposed to be like 13,000-14,000. Yeah, but that sounds great. Let's do it.
Yeah, every time we took a shortcut, it cost us time and money. But I'm glad it happened early. I'm happy that it happened back then, early on, because it taught us about shortcuts. Like every time we no shortcuts after that. That property, we tried to make a bunch of different shortcuts, and all of them burned us. And then we still got out of it. We still got our money and everything, but we just learned, like, we don't want to emotionally put ourselves through that, because when things don't go the way you project it to, you start getting down on yourself and lose confidence.
We end up painting the hallways, the common area hallway going up to the 3rd floor,
doing it ourselves,
painting ourselves, looking at each other mad and whatnot.
Yeah. Like, why are we in this predicament? Because we kept on trying to do shortcuts. So really budget correctly. Budget so that you have enough money to cover everything and still have enough of a spread, to enough of a margin to actually make money. And then you won't have to do shortcuts. And so that's what we learned. We really learned how to evaluate properties properly, and how much it's really going to cost, and how much time it's really going to take, and evaluating the human resources, right? Which is those contractors, to make sure that we got the right contractors, and we got to a point now. That's the hard part for everybody, trying to find the right contractors who will do right by you and do the project correctly. But as you complete projects and people realize that you're actually someone who can give them consistent work, those contractors then start doing better by you because they want to continue to come back and work for you.
Yeah.
The other thing too is knowing where to find them. Go to open houses. And when you go to open houses in neighborhoods that you're interested in buying property in, ask them, who did this work? Man, that bathroom is amazing. Who did that? Man, this living room, how did they do that crown molding like that? Who did that? Right? Ask questions. These realtors who are doing these open houses, they'll tell you, or they'll figure out how to get you the information if you're really interested in it.
And even if you're at Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, wherever you're at, and people are in the parking lot ready to give you the business card. I'm like, oh, okay. What you working on right now? Well, what you working on recently? Oh, what's the address? Take me over there. I want to see the
go
work
right now. Let's go right now.
I want to see if the client likes what you did.
Yeah, but obviously he got this aggressive tone, which is, you're not going to talk that way. You're going to talk to him like, hey, I'm thinking I got some money. I'm ready to do my next project. I'm trying to figure out who's going to do it for me. As soon as you start saying you have money, these contractors will be like, oh, come on over and check out my work right now. And that's the way you want to do it. You want to set it up so that they understand that you have some money coming to do a project, and you want to see who you're going to choose. And then they're going to go out their way to show you their work and to impress you. So, and that's the tone that you be coming with.
Look. I mean, sometimes, yeah, you're right, but you be in your feelings about somebody that messed up your work or whatnot, because there's going to be failures, and those failures are really just lessons for when you succeed.
Yeah. Then again, this is all early on. Then you'll eventually get to the point where we are now, where we have 3 different sets of contractors that we have long-standing relationships with, that have completed projects for us. And now we're not doing we know what they can do, because they've done the work for us already. And then we call them up and say, hey, this is the project we're looking at. Hey, come meet me over there on Saturday, da-da-da-da-da.
Right. And
then we can just, it's a lot easier of a negotiation, because they know the work is coming. Plus, at this point too, they know that we're the Downing brothers. And so there's a certain cachet that comes from building a reputation. Your name is everything. Circles back to the beginning of this conversation. Doing it for your last name. And when people see that you are consistent, that you're financed, that you've educated yourself, so you're not someone who doesn't know the difference between a drill and a hammer. You know what I'm saying? Like, when they know that you know what you're talking about, that's all doing it for your last name. So now your reputation precedes you, and now you have these relationships with these different contractors that when you call, they take you seriously, because they know you're about to do a project, and that you got the money, and everything is going to be boom, 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 and they're going to move on to the next thing.
Definitely. One thing you mentioned early on in that part was hard money lenders. Like, a lot of people are afraid of hard money lenders, don't really understand how it works. Most of us never heard of it probably until we were an adult. So can you, I guess, just give like a basic understanding of how hard money works, and how may be advantageous to someone looking to do something?
So hard money is comes from lending institutions that are giving you short-term money for a high interest rate over a short period of time. So what that means,
these are like private lenders. These are not banks.
These are private lenders that will give you $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000, as long as you have 25% down towards that particular project,
and in the game,
and you have skin in the game. So they know, okay, you got $50,000 towards this $200,000 project. So they know you got skin in the game. So they'll give you the $150,000. That's one part of it, knowing you have the money. The second part, they will send out their own people to evaluate their project to see if the comps make sense. How long properties are taking to sell over there, how long they anticipate. If they were going to do the project themselves, they would send somebody over to evaluate. Okay, if you have good contractors, this will take 6 months to do.
Right.
And they loan you the money normally over a 12-month period of time. Now, they typically are like, oh, we want to finance projects that can get done in 6 months, but we're going to finance you for 12 months.
Plus, they know it's going to take you so many months to actually sell it, even when it's done.
Right. So you've got this 12-month loan. They're giving you $150,000. The interest rate may be 12% or 13%, something like a credit card, which is high interest. So that means that your margin needs to be there. So you have to, got a property below market value, so that margin is high enough for you to make up for the fact that they're taking such a big chunk on points and interest rate. But if all of those things make sense and you're with a reputable hard money lender, they're only going to give you the money if they think that you can succeed at it, if everything makes sense.
This is way more on the ground level too. Like when you getting like conventional loans from, Bank of America or whoever, this is a big conglomerate. These are the rules. You can pay that. Now, you going with Lima One or whatever hard money lender that you're dealing with. Those folks generally have like a board, like a 12-person board that's like, oh, this is how much money we've doled out this year. We've already doled out $100 million this year. And the Downing brothers seem like good guys, so we'll let them do 2 flips at the same time this time. They literally work like that. Wow. It's nothing like banks.
Right. And the thing is, if you stick with a particular hard money lender, each time you do a project with them, they'll give you a better interest rate, and they'll maybe even give you more wiggle room. So instead of 25%, maybe you only have to put 22.5 or 20% down. So those things will get better as you become a regular.
Got it. And so for your flips, how do you find those deals that are like below market? Do you have like wholesalers?
There's three general ways that I would recommend. One, tell everyone that you buy houses. Even if you haven't even started buying a bunch of houses yet, you let everybody know that this is what you do, that you got a bona fide crew, you've already completed a project, that you got X, Y, and Z going. Oh, your grandmother just passed. Hey, are they trying to sell the house? Just make it your reputation that everybody knows, oh, you're the person in the circle who all of a sudden is the real estate guy.
Yeah, you got an ugly house, you're about to have a divorce, you about whatever your situation is, I can help alleviate that. Sell it to me before you lose it altogether.
Right. So one, you drum up interest by letting everybody know about your reputation, because then the wholesalers will find you, because word of mouth will spread, especially because of social media and so on and so forth.
Instagram.
So that's one way. That's the first way. Second thing you do, you look for foreclosures. So, even if you're just using a site like Redfin, but then there's so many different real estate sites where you can find short sales and foreclosures. All right. So that is a pool of properties that you need to look for, but those everybody has access to it, because if it's on the MLS, those are really the best deals because everybody has access to them, and then people are jumping on it, especially if it's a seller's market.
Yeah, if your realtor is a type of person that's dealing with ugly houses all the time, they're going to see off-market deals too. Like on the MLS will show realtors the properties that have been taken down off the MLS. It will be inactive, but it's still on there, and those are like off-market, which means they can go and try to call whatever realtor was representing that, or even try to call the owner and see if they still want to sell those properties.
Right. So now that you have a realtor working on your behalf and you're looking at the MLS, now you're like, okay, there's still got to be better deals to be found. So in a lot of municipalities, if you live in like big cities like New York, Chicago, Houston, LA, at either the county or the city level, the county and the city own properties that they've actually taken from people. Either they've taken the vacant land or the vacant property, and they'll have it in some kind of institution, and you have to find out what it's called in your municipality. But in Chicago, for instance, there's the Cook County Land Bank. The Cook County Land Bank is an inventory of properties that the county has taken from tax sales.
And they don't want to hold those because they're not getting any tax income from those properties.
Yeah. So what you do is you go to the Cook County Land Bank's website, and then they'll have a little map on there, and then you can look and see what properties that they are currently own, and then you call them up or go through the site and schedule, and then you get to go look at the property, and then you go ahead and come in there, and boom, if you got cash or you got hard money or you got whatever lined up, you come in there and you can get properties that way. And the common people don't know that the Cook County Land Bank even exists. You got the same thing in St. Louis. You got the same thing in Houston.
It's called the Harris County
Land Bank in Houston. In St. Louis, it's the St. Louis County Land Bank. So
and I will tell you how we found out about Harris County.
Yeah.
Slim Thug, the rapper Slim Thug, he got big into buying property from the Harris County Land Bank Authority, and what he was doing was renovating the properties and selling, sometimes giving away those properties to single mothers. And when I read that story, I was like, oh man, he's for real. He's doing dozens of them.
Right. So that's great marketing, because what he was able to do is say, buy 10 of those properties from the Harris County Land Bank. 9 of them he's actually building and either flipping or holding. And then he gives one giveaway that lets the whole city know, hey, look what I'm doing. Now his reputation goes boom, 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 boom. I'm in real estate.
Yeah.
And now more opportunities come right behind that. But he also has enough money and capital that he can afford to be able to give something away. That then he gets back tenfold in opportunities that now start coming his way from the publicity.
I'm really loving what I'm seeing from the hip hop community. It's not just Slim Thug. It's Jeezy in Atlanta. It's who else is doing it?
Lil Durk's doing it.
Lil Durk that's up in Chicago here. It's a great thing to see.
Right. It's a movement that's slowly happening within our community, and but it's so important that our entertainers, our athletes, and our influencers, which some people consider us influencers now,
right?
And why it's so important for us. See, look, keeping it 100% buck, we want to be on TV because it brings us opportunity, it brings us money. We love that, but we also, on the flip side of that, understand that when people see the two of us on TV, they say, oh, those guys are just like me. If they can do it, I can do it. And we need representation in media. That then cycles into the whole community becoming a trend and a wave.
Man, this Black Lives Matter movement, the way it's changed Hollywood, hopefully this is a long-standing thing. It's not just like, oh, this is going to go from 20 to 2021 and it'll be over. Because all of these new shows, even our show, we know that these networks absolutely have to have, Black-centered shows. And it's on us to be the positive representation that needs to be there, and not just people getting money and acting crazy on TV.
Right.
What a lot of these unscripted shows are like. No, we're going to show people what these numbers are. We're going to show these people, you can find us on our college tour. Or really being of service. At the end of the day, being of service, using our opportunities to be of service to everyone.
Definitely, that transitions perfectly into the next section. So I think what's really dope about your story is that you do real estate, but you do a whole lot more. You're firefighters, you have a show, your podcast, and a host of different things. And so a lot of people feel like they have to do a 9-to-5 but they could do a 9-to-5 and that's exactly what you two are doing. So can you talk a bit more about your 9-to-5 and how it kind of flows into everything you're doing, and also just let us know about everything else y'all have going on?
Yeah, I think it's important for people to leverage their job. I know it's really sexy to say, oh, I own so many buildings and I got these businesses going, and and now I don't need a job anymore. Before everybody runs away from the job, that W-2 that you get from that every 2-week check that you get, you can leverage that into buying property. And if you haven't leveraged that into buying several income generating properties, don't leave that job yet. Put up with that job, even if you could leave, until you've leveraged those FHA and conventional loans at 3.5% down, 5% down. Once you've done that and you feel comfortable, and you're doing it because it makes sense for you, not because you just want to flex and be sexy on Instagram, then do it. And that's why, and for us, we have a unique schedule with the fire department, and a great salary that allows us to continue to do our plan. We have a plan of action. We know exactly what our goals are.
And there's drawbacks. Like, for instance, we don't have this awesome looking beard like yours, because, on the fire department, you have to have a seal for your face mask, so they don't allow you to have beards.
Yeah, but, we don't allow those limitations to deter us from our goals. We know that we want to have X amount of properties, and then eventually sell those all off and just be completely on the commercial side. And until we meet our goals, we'll get all the money. And that's the thing, we get all the money. We get all the money. We got so, and the thing is, you should too. Whoever's watching this right now, get your money from your job, get your money from your property. Go ahead and start whatever online business that you're going to start. Get money from that way. That's 3 streams of income.
Get your LLC so that you can get even more tax breaks and write off more things because you own a business.
And also protect yourself, in the court of law. Right?
Yeah. All legal.
Yeah.
By the way,
limited liability corporation. You know what I'm saying? So, or company. So, do all of these things and have a plan. And that's what we're doing. So we got all these streams of income. We have a book. We have a book that we wrote that makes all of these things simple. It's called The Downing Brothers, a visual guide, a strategy guide to real estate. That everything we talked about, it's illustrated, and we walk them through it in the book. We walk them through the entire process.
You can find that on Amazon.com or Amazon Kindle if you want the like the e-learn, what am I thinking of?
Your ebook.
Like the ebook version of it.
Right. But you can create all these streams of income, but you have to do something first. You can't write about something you haven't done. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to actually have done it so that you know what you're talking about. And then, you go from there. But take advantage of everything, and don't just run with the crowd because everybody else wants to say, oh, I'm independent and I'm working, I don't have a job anymore and all that kind of stuff. Because we live very comfortable lives because of the things we're doing.
Well, our book on Amazon Kindle is $9.99, and the physical copy is like $20. And I'm gonna tell you, it's to have something physical, tangible, or to have it on your cell phone to look at. Yeah, that's nasty. You have to book.
So
I like it.
And really, you can use our book as a reference. Like, people who have no knowledge of what to do can take the information in our book, which actually has actual tips on how to evaluate properties, how to do different parts of the renovation, the different relationships you have with all the different people along the way.
Has a glossary with all the real estate definitions in the back.
Yeah. So, but you can actually then take the book, and if you're a beginner, you now understand what's going on and what needs to be done or what you need to learn. And so, if they go to our website, thedowningBrothers.com, not only can they find the book, we have e-courses, which are a series of videos that actually we talk people through the entire book, and then we take them to our properties.
Yeah.
And we show them in our properties what they're looking for, what they need to do. So it's not just us standing here talking, sitting there talking to them.
We'd be like, oh yeah, you need to get tuck points. We can show you what tuck point
is.
Look for different cracks or moisture in your foundation, but we're showing them in the basement, where it is in the basement.
Right. So we take them through. We have all those videos and a scope of work. Some people don't know what a scope of work is, which is line item, everything that needs to be done in a renovation, along with the budget, how much it's going to cost for each one of those items to be completed. And we actually have a video in our e-course that takes them through the entire scope of work and tells them to look at the words that are being used. And if there's something that's too vague, we tell them what questions they need to be asked. So they can go to the e-course and look at those videos, and we really, really dig deep into the process.
I love it. You two, you were on TV as well, right? You had a
yes. So in 2021, it's gonna be interesting because we can't tell people yet.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. We got this little legal thing where you can't tell people yet,
at least until a certain date and whatnot.
Right. But we will, have some maybe more than one show actually.
Right.
that people will be able to see this year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And was there one that you had in the previously?
Yeah, Double Down.
Yeah, Double Down, like HGTV.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What was that again? What was that experience like? How did that all come together? That's really cool, man. And I'm glad there's more to come.
It was awesome. So this is what happened. Our cousin doing a renovation on a 6-unit building. And so we're helping him with it. We're going over there on a regular basis and stuff. Like, he's also a firefighter, so sometimes we were going to help on it while he's at work. Right. And a friend of ours from college, Troy Pryor, he said, yeah, this director wants to do a torture scene and we need like a abandoned looking basement or something like that. You got anything like that? We was like, yeah, man, come on, check out the 6-unit that we're working on. Yeah. So after they take a look at it and they're getting ready to leave, he turns and says, man, have you guys thought about like doing this on TV? I'm like, nah, man, this is a side hustle, man. We're firefighters, And he's like, but no, for real. One of my frat brothers, is looking for 2 black men as a duo for a renovation show for HGTV, man. And he put them on speakerphone, and 2 days later he was over there
with camera,
with the camera person, like doing like a little sizzle reel and stuff, and
which we didn't even know what that was.
Yeah,
so we're learning about how to get a TV show and how to film and all this stuff.
All right,
yeah, and then it turned into a show on HGTV. Mm-hmm. And it's led to what you guys are going to see this year.
Definitely can't wait to see it. Man, this has really been a great interview. I think it's just great to just see the story from the beginning to where you are now. So just starting from being kids and just being aware and seeing that your family were property owners, but you had in mind you didn't want to just keep it to where they had it. You want to take it to the next level. So I think it was cool just seeing how you two did certain things separately and then eventually came together to continue to build and not only have real estate, but you have the products you sell. You have a show you previously had. You have a show coming up, and so I think it's just really inspiring. And what sticks out to me is that you can do your 9 to 5 and do all the other cool things you're doing. Have a podcast, be on TV. Have digital products and so much more. So I think that's something I want to drive home, and you all definitely dropped a lot of game and actionable steps and advice for people to think about. So I definitely appreciate it. Before we end, could you talk more about just your podcast and also where people can find you, where they can tap into your resources, and just anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
Our podcast is Homecoming with the Downing Brothers, and you can find it on all the streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, YouTube. And we're also on YouTube, so if you would rather watch it than listen to it, you can go on YouTube to the Downing Brothers channel to see our podcast there. On Instagram, where it's the Downing Brothers. We like using government names,
right? And then our website, thedowningbrothers.com. And if people go to thedowningbrothers.com, they can find our book, they can find our e-courses, they can find out more information about us, subscribe to our email list so we can send them free game, free information. Mm-hmm. So, definitely just look us up because we really want to help people. We want people to be able to do what we're doing because they're perfectly capable of doing it. They just have to decide up here that they want it bad enough. If you want it, you can go get it. All you got to do is dream, plan, execute.
I like that. Y'all are in sync. Awesome. Well, thank you two so much. Really appreciate you two coming on. I'm excited to put this out. For all the listeners, definitely tap in with us to get updates on what we have going on. Text BRED to 21,000. If you'd like to be a Patreon, go to patreon.com/Black Real Estate Dialogue. I look forward to hearing from you all soon.